Hi, welcome back. Fifth night of Hanukkah. Blessings with me, join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim ha'em v'azman hazeh. Tonight's story. We're still reading Isaac Bashevis Singer, Power of Light. It happened the first night of Hanukkah. As always, there was a great deal of snow, frost, and blizzards. These had reached such a stage in Felix's house that finally there was not even a loaf of bread. In better times, Felix had possessed a number of silver objects, candlesticks, a spice box, a Passover plate, but Manis, the oldest child, had sold them all. There was one precious article still in the house, an antique Hanukkah lamp made some ancient silversmith. There lived a usurer in town who would pay a pittance for the many costly objects. Manis wanted to sell him the Hanukkah lamp too, but Felix said to his son, "Wait till after Hanukkah. There are a few pennies left in the house." But instead of buying bread, Manis bought oil and wick for the Hanukkah lights. The girls complained that they were hungry, and Manis said, "Let's imagine that it's Yom Kippur. I know the story because Manis told it to me years later." Since Felix could not leave his bed anymore, Manis brought the lamp to his father on the first night of Hanukkah, and Felix made the proper benedictions and lit the first light. He hummed the song, Rock of Ages, and kissed his children. Then Manis took the Hanukkah lamp to the living room and put it in the windowsill according to the law. The children sat at the table hungry without having eaten supper, and it was cold in the house. Only a year before, Felix had given his children Hanukkah money to play dreidel, and Sarah had fried pancakes for the children. Now everything was bathed in gloom. The children looked at each other with eyes that seemed to ask, "From whence cometh my help?" Suddenly someone knocked at the door. Who could this be? "Probably someone with a gift," Manis said to himself. His father had warned him again and again not to accept gifts. Manis decided not to open the door this time so as to avoid arguing with good people. But the knocking at the door did not stop, and after a while Manis went to the door, ready to say, "Father told me not to accept anything." When he opened it, he saw a squire, tall, broad-shouldered, in a long fur coat with tails down to the ankle and a fur hat sprinkled with snow. It almost never happened that a squire came into a Jewish house, especially in the evening. Belgorod still belonged to Count Zamojski, who was as rich and mighty as a king. To Manis the squire said, "I passed by on my sleigh, and I saw a little light in the lamp, the likes of which I had never seen in all of my life. With goblets, flowers, a lion, a deer, a leopard, an eagle, beautifully done. Why did you kindle only one light if there are 8 holders? Is this a Jewish holiday? Where are your parents?" Manis knew Polish and how to speak to an important man. He said, "Come in, Your Excellency. It is for us a great honor." The squire entered the living room and for a long while stared at the Hanukkah lamp. He began to ask questions, and the boy told him the story of Hanukkah, how the Jews had fought the Greeks in ancient times in the land of Israel. He told him of the miracle that had happened with the oil for the light of the menorah in the temple, how after the war there was barely enough oil left to light the menorah for one day, and a miracle happened. The oil was sufficient for 8 days. When the squire saw a dreidel on the table, he asked, "And what is this?" Although the children had no money with which to play, they had put a dreidel there to remind them of former, happier times. Manners explained to the squire that Hanukkah is the only holiday when the children were allowed to play these kind of games. He told him the rules of dreidel, and the squire asked, "Could I play with you?" "The driver will wait with his sleigh. It's cold outside, but my horses are covered in blankets, and the driver has a fur jacket." "Your Excellency, my father is sick, we have no mother, and we haven't a penny to our name." The squire said, "I intend to offer you 1,000 gulden for your magnificent lamp, but I don't have the whole sum with me. So I will give you 500 in advance. With the money you can play." As he said this, he took out a large bag of gold coins from his coat and threw them on the table. The children were astounded. The game began, and the greatest unbeliever could have seen that the whole event was a wonder from heaven. The children kept winning, and the squire kept losing. In 1 hour, the squire had lost all of his gold, and the children had won every coin. Then the squire cried out, "Lost is lost. My driver and my horses must be cold. Good night, happy Hanukkah. Don't worry about your father. With God's help, he will recover soon." Only after the squire had left did the children realize what had happened. Not only had they gotten 500 gulden as an advance on the lamp, but the squire had lost additional money. Half the table was covered with coins. The girls burst out crying. Manus ran outside to see if the squire, the sleigh, the horses, and the driver were still there, but they had vanished without leaving tracks in the snow. Usually horses harnessed to a sleigh have bells on their necks, and one can hear them jingling from far away. But the night air was quiet. I will make it short. The moment the squire left, Phalak opened his eyes. He had gone to sleep near to death and woke up a healthy man. Nothing but a miracle could have saved him. It was a miracle that occurred. Who was the squire? The prophet Elijah? Who knows? He certainly was not a Polish squire. Did he ever come to get the lamp? Not as long as the old man remained in his home. If he had been the prophet Elijah, he would have kept his promise, one of the boys remarked. Reb Berish did not answer immediately. He pulled on his beard and pondered. They have a lot of time in heaven. He might have come to their children's children or their children's grandchildren. I married and moved to another village. As far as I know, the Hanukkah lamp remains with Phalak and his children as long as they live. Some rabbi said that when God works a miracle, he often does it in such a way that it should appear natural. There were some unbelievers in Belgorod, and they said that it was a real squire. Those who deny God always try to explain all wonders as normal events and coincidences. I'm afraid the potatoes are already burning, he added. So old Reb Berish opened the door of the oven and with his bare fingers began to pull out half-burned potatoes from the glowing ovens. Chag Sameach, happy Hanukkah. I'll see you tomorrow for the 6th light.